So yesterday we looked at our first Java file basically. Creating our first Java file. So for that, yeah, I'll just quickly show what we have done. Okay, and yeah, this see we create one file which is keeping all the notes day wise. Okay, and so that also you'll be able to see. And we'll be sharing it on GitLab.
Okay.
So to look at the structure of a Java file, we just started by looking at like in C language, how we normally would have written a code. Okay, our first Java C code was something like this, right? Printf hello world, right? And inside a function called main. Okay, this is how we do hello world for C language, right? So now it's like this. All Java source code is written in a file with the extension of .java. Okay, right? But as far as Java is concerned, we cannot write a function like we write in C language directly, right? So what goes in Java file are 6 items. Okay, 5 are like this. Okay, and so we could in a Java file you could use it to define a class, interface, enum, annotation, or a record. Right? Enum annotation are from Java 5 onwards, and record is from Java 16 onwards. That has been introduced in Java 16. Okay, fine. There is a 6th item also. Okay, now yeah, in Java methods like okay, we have methods just like we have functions in C language, right? So similar to functions in C, we call it them as methods basically. Okay, and these methods can be member of the above 5 items. So methods are members of these 5 items. Okay, fine. So the idea is you don't directly put a function kind of a thing in a Java file. Okay, it will be inside one of these 5 items. Okay, and so you can define these 5 items and they can contain methods. Right, directly your Java file cannot contain a method straight away. Okay, and so Java is about basically defining 5 items only, not more than this. And there is a 6th item which is from Java 9 onwards. Okay, but you don't put a method inside a module definition. So there is something called a module which has been introduced from Java 9. Okay, and so this first file is just used for showing that yes, all these items how they can be created. Okay, it's all about a Java file. Okay, so for defining application, we need a method called main. Okay, and so any Java application, you will need a method main, which would look something like this. So if you look at a structure of a method, right, a method would have some modifiers. Okay, then it would have a return type. Okay, it needs a return type. Then we have a method name. Okay, return type and method name plus the parameter list is compulsory. Okay, so this is compulsory part, right? Always any method, if it is there, it should have a return type. But before return type, you can show a optionally there can be a list of modifiers. Okay, fine. To be more general, we said okay, we can in a method we can also include type parameter list before the return type. It is between modifiers and the return type. There is also a possibility of type parameter list. Type parameters is there from Java 5 onwards. Okay, and also there is another optional declaration for a method which says throws and a list of exceptions. All this will be discussed later, and just to show initially that yes, this is the syntax. And so when we write our application, then it's again a method with return type void, method name is main. Okay, parameter list should contain only one parameter of type string array. Okay, and we have modifiers. Okay, so we can have 2 modifiers. You can keep them in any order. You can say static public or public static, right? So modifiers, then return type, method name, and parameter list. Okay, and it follows that syntax. Okay, and so so we said okay, let's create our first Java file. Okay, and we call it hello.java. Fine. So we created a file called hello.java, and content of hello.java, we initially decided, yes, we can have just a class called hello world like this. Okay. So inside hello.java, we put class hello world as a definition, and we said, okay, we will keep public static void main string array. Fine, string array, you can give any parameter name, so we just said a. Okay, and it can have this printf. Oh, we used to have printf in C language, right? So we said, okay, printf, but it's an object oriented language, so we have to use this on an object. So the object on which we need to call printf is the standard output. Okay, system.out represents the standard output, okay, for our system. Fine. So if you want to show some output on the screen, okay, fine, default standard output is the screen, right? So then you can just say system.out, and on that object you can use method. So we have one of the methods like printf, which is available from C language also. Okay, so this is how we wrote with printf. Fine. To compile, we said, okay, we use the command, fine, and this is the command which was used initially. Okay, javac and name of the file, and when we compile, we got a file. Fine. So the compilation gave us a file. It generates a dot class file which contains a Java bytecode. So it generated this particular class file. Fine. The idea is, it's not, when we compile, right, we have those 6 items, right, and out of those 6 we chose to use a class definition. So we have our first Java file as hello.java containing one class definition, which would be hello world. Okay, fine. So when it contains this, right, and when we compile this, it creates a class file for the item you have defined. Oh, you have defined one item, which is the hello world, which is a class, right, and its name is hello world. So it created hello world dot class. Okay, any Java bytecode will be in a dot class file. Okay, the extension is going to be dot class. Okay, the bytecode is generated for each of the 6 types of items listed earlier, right? Okay, so we have these 6 type of items, right? We had listed them, right? So you may define a class, you may define interface, enum, annotation, or a record, or you may define a module. Okay, fine. So if you define any of these, this is what goes in a Java file basically. But for a module, it has been mentioned here that if you have to define a module, you cannot just put it in any file. The module definition has to be in a file by the name module.info.java. Okay. Fine. Anyway, the details will be looking at later. This is just to show, okay, this is what Java is about. Java is about 6 items only. Okay. Fine. And then, of course, each one has its own details, fine, which we'll be looking at. Right. So, okay. Okay. So this was like the initial, yeah. Okay. So fine, and so when we compile, we got the file as hello world.class. Okay, fine. Okay, and to execute the main method, fine, which is fine, which is in hello world class definition, we use Java followed by the name of the class. Fine, this is name of the class. Fine. So when we say Java and hello world, what it will do is it will load the class, fine, from the dot class file. It will load the class hello world. Okay, and it will see if it contains the application. Our application is method main, fine, with return type void, and the modifiers will be public and static. So if we have such a method in this class class definition, right, okay, then it will execute that method. Fine. Okay, so then we said, okay, let's update to contain the other kind of items. So our next update was, okay, we'll use the same Java file, single Java file, hello.java, and it would contain class definition. Let it contain even an interface, enum definition. Okay. To define an annotation, we saw that yes, we would have a interface. Fine. We don't have a, see, for defining enum, we said enum. Fine. For defining interface, we said interface. Fine. Whereas for defining a class, we said class and give the class name. Okay. But for defining an annotation, we use interface. Okay. So there's no special keyword to define annotation. Fine. We use the keyword called interface, and it has a separator called @ before that. So interface. That's how we use the annotation definition. Fine. So annotations would be defined like this. Okay. Yeah. And then even a record has to be defined. Yeah. For record, there is a contextual keyword called record. Okay. Fine. And we saw hello record. What you find different here for record is that we have to put parenthesis here. Fine. Unlike the class or the other types which we other items which we defined earlier, and we just put a name and then start the body. In case of a record requires parameters similar to parameters in a method. Okay. So when, like we have parameters in a method, same way if we are defining a record, we are putting parameters. And we'll go in details as we go along, right? So I'm not giving details of each of these 5 currently. Okay. But yes, we would like to have all the 5 types. Okay. Then we just discussed that, okay, what is that @? So we said, okay, let's understand that what does a Java file contain? So Java file is made up of, when the compiler looks at a Java file, it would identify the comments. It would identify the white spaces, or any space or new line, everything, right? So it identifies all of them. Okay. Fine. So the kind of comments we have a single line comment. Fine. So in a line, at any point when you start with a double slash, from that point onwards till the end of line, it is a comment. Okay, slash star and star slash, that's a block comment. So you can have a block. Okay, in a block comment, we have a special kind of a comment where we use slash double star. So if you use slash double star, it is known as a documentation comment. Okay, we have seen yesterday the use of documentation comment also. Okay, fine. So other than this, what does a Java file contain? This is there, white spaces are there, and then you have keywords. Okay, so we have keywords. There are 2 categories of keywords. One is a reserved keyword. Okay, there are actually 51 reserved keywords. Okay, and there are around 16 contextual keywords. Okay, or contextual keywords, also known as restricted identifiers. They're actually called restricted identifiers earlier. From Java 16, the specification calls them as contextual keywords, and earlier they were referred as the restricted identifiers. Okay. Then we have identifiers. Identifiers are nothing but names which we use. Fine. For example, hello world, we say args. Parameter name can be, so any variable name, method name. Fine. Names created by the programmer. Yes. Okay. Fine. And then we have the operators. Okay. So plus, minus, star, arrow. Fine. Left, shift, right. There's many. Okay, we'll be discussing each of those categories later. Okay, separators like comma, @, fine, and brackets, all kinds of bracket, braces also. Okay, even these are separators. Okay, fine. Literals are nothing but constant values. Fine, constant values can be for type, floating point type. Fine, constant value can be for the char type. Constant value can be for the integral type. Okay, for string type. Okay, for boolean type, true and false. There's a type called null type. We'll come to that later. Right. So for that, so these are the literals. These are identified as literals. Okay, they are constants which we use in constant values which we put in our Java file. Okay. Fine. Okay, then question arose, what is an annotation, right? So if we said, okay, this is nothing but a programmer defined modifier. We yesterday we even defined a module also, but we just gave a basic definition. We didn't go into what goes inside a module, but how to define a module. So for module, we had to create a file called moduleinfo.java, and this is how the module was defined. Okay, module and name of a module. Now, unlike the other things, a module name can contain dots. Okay, a class name, when we put the class definition, fine, class name cannot contain a dot, though the class name as such can be having dots. Okay, I'll show what was done yesterday. Okay, just a quick look at what was done in Hello World. Anyway, we have to update this for one more concept, and which is related to the command line argument. So we are anyway updating this Java file. So see you will find one more declaration here at the top, which is a packet declaration. Okay, so here is like, okay, so see, we wanted to have a class called, so what was our requirement? Okay, so we wanted to have a class, okay, called com dot. So when we wanted to have such a class, right? So we wanted to include this in our class name. Okay, so if we wanted anything like this, right, what we have to do is we cannot put in here immediately following the class name which you write, that cannot contain dots. It cannot contain dots, but your class name can have dots. Okay, that is achieved with the help of the packet declaration. Okay, fine. So this is like when we use a packet declaration. Okay, fine. In this class, we were declaring, I want to have hello world, class hello world, right? So when we say class hello world, we are giving a prefix for all the items being defined in this Java file. Okay, so a Java file, fine, it can start with a packet declaration. The packet declaration is nothing but a prefix which is there for every item defined in this Java file. Okay, so we have defined hello world in Java file, in this particular hello.java file, and therefore this com.class of java.intro .hello world, that becomes the name of this Java file. Okay, okay, fine. What I'll do here is I'll keep this as a fine. It cannot come between the declaration and the documentation comment. We can have this as a comment, block comment over here. Okay, so you can keep a regular comment, block comment. Okay, oops, okay, yeah. Okay, so you can keep a block comment before a documentation. And so this documentation comment is for describing about the class. Okay, fine. So it should come just before the class definition. Okay, fine. Between the class definition and the between this class keyword and this documentation comment, you may only have the modifiers. So even for class definition, you can have modifiers. Okay, fine. So because there are different types of classes, your class can be a public class also. So public will be a modifier for your class. Okay, all these items, right? they have their own modifiers. Okay, fine. And just go over the other things. Okay. 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 So this is a class called Hello World. And okay, just to show it that the name of the class has changed. Okay, let's use this. Fine. So here you will find we have kept hello.java as one of the files. There are two other files. Okay, fine. One is for module info.java, other is for package info.java. Okay, that hello.java which we are looking is here. Okay, now if you want to compile, I'll use Java C, and okay, let me show the structure to you. Okay, this is what the structure is, right? So what you find here is there is one folder for keeping the source code, which is src. This is where our Java files will go. Okay, we have a folder for bin, which this is where our compiled class files will be stored. Okay, fine. We will see how the docs folder was generated. We'll generate it again today. Okay, fine. And okay, fine. So the three folders which are there, this is our notes, what we are writing there. And yeah, this is another file which is actually when we use the board, fine, that part. Okay. Okay, fine. So let's see what we have here. Okay, so we go to src. Okay. Okay, and okay, to compile from src folder, we'll just say Java C. Okay, use the -d option to specify a destination folder. Fine, which is my destination directory where the compiled code should go. Okay, the class files generated should be going. So let's say /bin. Okay, and just say, okay, we want to compile hello.java, and you'll say, okay, let's compile hello.java. So when we compile hello.java, fine, it would have created the class files in the bin folder. Okay, let's see what's there in bin. Oh, in bin we don't find the class files. What we are finding is a directory called com. This is because of the packet declaration. Okay, fine. So we have the packet declaration. There is one class file. This is been generated yesterday. I think I can get rid of all the class files. Maybe I'll delete the class files from the bin folder. Okay. 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 Fine. So bin folder is empty now. Okay. Let's compile. We are only compiling hello.java. Yeah. Okay. Fine. So now let's look at the bin that contains com. Okay. So let's look at bin and com. So that would contain class of Java, and that contains, so if I look at class of Java, it contains intro. Okay. And then the intro would contain the class files. Oh, these are the various items which we have defined. So there are 5 kind of things which go in a Java file. That difficulty.class is nothing but name of an annotation. Okay. Fine. For others, we just said hello world, hello interface, hello enum, hello record. But for annotation, we said, okay, we actually defined an annotation called difficulty. Okay. And we did use it, right? One more thing was that all of these, what we had, okay, you can see one. Okay, let's go through it. A quick view is like this. We have one class definition. Okay. If we look at, we have a interface by the name hello interface. We have an enum called hello enum. Okay. we have annotation by the name difficulty, containing a method by the name level. Okay, and then we have a record definition, right? So this is what all we have got in our hello.java file. So 5 items totally, right? Their names you can see. All of these are data types. All of these items are data types. Okay, and for that reason, what we did is we updated the main method here and just made declarations. If there is a data type, we can declare a variable for that type, right? So we used all of these 5 items as data types here. So you can, we can see this hello world HW1, hello interface HI1, right? These are just variable declarations. In case of enum, right? In the enum we had declared objects for that enum. Hello and hi were the objects of the enum. So we just said, okay, let's have hello enum dot hello, right? So that would be, so we have a variable he1, okay, whose type is hello enum. So these are data types, you can see them, okay. And to that we said, okay, this is the object hello enum dot hello, that's the object. Same way we could also use hello enum dot hi as another object, and we reassigned it to the variable he1. Okay, fine, we printed this, and then we said, okay, even the annotation, the name was difficulty, we declare a variable for that, we declare a variable for the record type. So these are all types, right? So in Java we have got whatever, you know, when we compile this, we are getting a class file for every item here. A class gets a class file, interface definition gets a class file, and everything you define here results in a class file. Okay, when I say everything means one of those 5 items. Okay, 6th item is a annotation, right? And 6th item is a annotation, not sorry, module. 6th item is the module. Sorry, yeah. Okay, and so this is one interface. So this interface also contained a method called main. Because we defined an annotation and we wanted to understand what is an annotation, a very quick look at annotation was that yes, annotation when it is defined, it is just like a modifier. It's like, okay, before the return type, see in a method before return type, what do we put? We can put modifiers. So what is an annotation? It is a modifier which is defined by the programmer. Public, static, they are modifiers from the language. Java language has given us public, static as the modifiers. Okay, fine. We want to have some more modifiers. I want to be able to mention that this is having a difficulty level of so much. Okay, so I defined a, so we want just wanted to keep some annotation. So we want to tag them. Yeah, this is having this difficulty level. Okay, so we just created a annotation for that. This is how you define an annotation. We want to have one attribute where we can say level is so much. The type is int, so we said, okay, we have a method here. Method name is level. The return type of the method is int. Okay, fine. We don't have to write the implementation for the method. Just put a semicolon. Okay, fine. So annotation, fine. Definition requires @ interface. Okay, fine. The annotation can contain a list of method declarations. The methods here cannot have a parameter, 0 parameter methods. Okay, and there are restrictions on what type of return types can be used. Not anything can be becoming a return type here. Okay, fine. I have used int. There are a restricted number of return types which we can use. It could be an array type also. You could be using strings, right? So there are a few things which you can use here. Okay, and so that there are limited things which we can use here. Okay, not anything can be put. So it's not any return type may be allowed here, right? So there are so this return type is nothing. So the method name becomes an attribute for the annotation. and this return type is the type of the attribute. Okay, and so what we had done was, okay, we used it here. We even used it here. So see, it's a modifier for a declaration, right? I declare a variable declaration, or there is a parameter declaration, and I want to use a modifier for it. I can say like this. Okay, fine. So it can be used here. Fine, it can be used even. It could have been used here also. This enum has a difficulty level so much. So we have created difficulty as a annotation name, having an attribute called level. Okay, fine, and okay, now fine. So clear up to this point, and okay, one more point was related to the documentation comments which we had done. Okay, we also kept these two files more. Okay, so yeah, what was the use of the documentation comment? Okay, see, in the first place, I've used a comment which starts with double slash, right? Slash double slash, and this is put just before the class definition. That means this is a documentation, this is a description for my class. Okay, this is nothing but a description for my class. Okay, I have kept a documentation comment here just before my method. Fine. This means this method's description is mentioned here. A documentation comments becoming a description for the item. Okay, fine. Okay, so what is the, how is it used, how is it useful? Okay, so we can see we have done documentation here for this one, we have done documentation for this one. Okay, fine. Okay, now just like this, package also needs a description. We want to describe what this package is containing. Fine. So if you want to describe a package, no, you can't put a description over here. Even if you put some description here, that's going to be ignored. It's not going to use this. See, the why this is to be ignored? What is the reason why this needs to be ignored? The reason here is, like this hello.java, you could have also created one more file which also contains the same packet declaration. There can be many files with the same packet declaration, and each one can give a different description for the package. Which one should be used? Yes. Fine, clear. So this becomes ambiguous now. What should be taken as the description? Should this be taken as the description in this, from this file, or should it be taken from the other file? The packet declaration is the same for the same package name. You will be having multiple files which have the same packet declaration. In a package, there are a number of items we are considering, because it's nothing but the same prefix. Okay, see, when we are using a class called string is name of a class basically, right? It is also having a prefix. It is having a prefix called string. Sorry, java.lang. It's java.lang.string. Okay, we have used a class called system. We are saying system.out.println. System is name of a class, but it has a prefix. It's java.lang.system. Okay, fine. We'll understand the more aspects about package, fine, when we look at the package in more detail. Okay, fine. We'll understand the package, what is this packet declaration at a later stage, but this just to show that yes, this is nothing but your documentation comment. Okay, so documentation for a package, since there can be multiple files with the same package name, they said, okay, if you want to have a description for your package, okay, then we have to use a special file by the name packageinfo.java. So if you keep anything in packageinfo.java, here you will not define anything. This file is not for defining other items. It's just the purpose is so that you can keep a description about the package. Okay, description about the package. We'll see where this is useful. We have seen yesterday, basically. Fine. And similarly, okay, just similar to this, we have another file where we describe a module. Okay, so for any module, yes, you will have to have a file called moduleinfo.java. Okay, so fine. So a module, and there is a description for the module. Module names can contain dots. Okay, fine. They don't have a packet declaration. Okay, the module name cannot have a packet declaration.
Package have a packet declaration.
Other file like this, other Java files, they can contain a packet declaration, like we have kept in hello.java. Okay, package info will only have packet declaration. For the purposes document description about the package. Okay, fine. Whereas module will not have a packet declaration. Okay.
Module only contain dots.
Module will have module name therefore is allowed to have dots, because we want to have dots to be there. We wanted to have a class with dots, so we have a package. Okay, purpose of package so that you can put a prefix. Okay, that is the purpose of package. And the idea about packages, get a unique name. Okay, fine. Yesterday also I mentioned about that you want to have a we have one of the class called thread. Because of multi-threading, we will have a class called thread. You are writing a tailoring application, and there again someone says, oh, we need a class called thread. A thread will have a color, a thread will have the thickness, fine, and which brand it is of, right? So fine other properties about a thread, right? The physical thread. So you don't have to create a new name. It will be called thread only, but with a different kind of a prefix. The thread from the Java language will be called java.lang.thread. And thread from our tailoring application, maybe it's been created by class of Java. So I'll say com.classofjava.tailoring.thread. Okay. Right? So you decide on the prefix part, but so for prefix part, packet declaration everywhere. Module, not part of a package. Okay. In fact, packages are part of the module. Okay. So you can't have a packet declaration to give a prefix. Right? And therefore, for modules, we have a dotted names, which is valid here. Okay. Just for clarity and just it so happened yesterday what we did was, when we said package info, we said com.classofjava.intro, and same thing is the module name. Just to make a distinction, let's change the module name to dot module. Okay, intro dot module, right? Or dot mod, dot module. Okay, let's call it dot module. Okay, fine. Currently, I'm not looking at what we can put in a module. Okay, fine. So I've made one change like this. Okay, and then we'll see. And the whole idea of module is there. There are a few more things which are pending within the class definition related to the main method. Okay, so our file now has a packet declaration. Okay, but we also have a module definition. Okay, how do we compile? Let's check this. Okay. Okay, so we saw this, right? That the bin folder now contains all the class files for all the 5 definitions. Okay, we have made some changes, it seems. Let's compile again. Okay, fine. Okay, one more point was just to show that let's compile which one, like hello.java. Let's compile individually package info.java.
Yes.
Okay, so when we compile package info.java, there is nothing which is generated for package info, because this is only a package declaration. Package has no existence. Okay, package is there because you have a common prefix. You have made a common declaration. Okay, fine. So there's nothing extra class file or no bytecode generated for the package. Module, we can see when we compile that module info. Okay, we will see that we get a class file for that, right? Yeah. Okay, let's see dir /bin. Oh, we get module info.class.
Yes.
Okay, fine. The file is only going to be called as module info.class. Okay. And this contains your definition for the module. Okay, and so special file name. Okay, see, this is not following the rules of identifier. Hyphen cannot be included in a identifier. Okay, we'll soon come to the rules of the identifier also, and you'll find a lot of new things. Okay, okay, fine. While compiling, we can compile by saying, okay, let's compile all the Java files together. Star.java, even this is possible. Okay, you can compile all the files together. Okay, fine. And you can check the directory of bin /com /class of Java /intro. Okay, let's fine. So now let's come back to our method called main. Okay, so what exactly happens when we give the command? Okay, so maybe we'll experiment with the interface here. Okay, let's experiment with the interface here. Okay, so we said this main contains a parameter of called a. We haven't used this parameter. Okay, so what's this parameter for? Okay, a is of type array. It's an array type, array of a string. Okay, so for any array type, okay, what is array? Has multiple elements. Something which has got multiple elements of the same type. Right? It's a data structure. Array is a data structure containing elements of the same type, multiple elements of the same type. Okay, so to know how many elements in that object of array. Okay, okay, so a is the object, which is an array object. We can use dot length to know the number of elements in that array. Okay, so fine, let's check this out. So we'll try hello interface now. We would like to run hello interface. Okay, let's compile and run this code. So we compile. Okay, fine. And to run the code, Java, and we will use the -cp option currently. Okay, /bin, and yeah, what's the name of the class?
Hello. No, hello.
Hello interface. That class file is hello interface. We have done the change in the interface, right? So what's the name of that interface? It's com dot
Yeah.
class of Java dot
.info.
intro intro dot hello interface.
Okay.
Okay, so it says 0. There are no elements in that array. Okay, let me make a change. Let me put some more things in this command line. Okay, here it says there are 3. See, what it shows is that what you give from command line, the idea here is to make it available to the application. Okay, so it's doing one thing. What it does when I give this command is it picks up the command line arguments, creates an array with 3 elements. And what are the 3 elements? Whatever you gave from command line. They are the 3 elements which are used for creating an array. Then it has to invoke main method. Main method cannot be invoked without having an array. It needs an array. It has a parameter. Okay, fine. So earlier also it created an array, but the array had 0 elements. When I didn't pass any arguments, the array had 0 elements. Now the array has 3 elements. Okay, fine. So we can update our code and let's say hello to whatever are the names given from the command line. Okay, fine. We can make that change. Okay, we know how many. Fine. So we understand that these are coming as command line arguments. Okay, so the idea of the parameter here, okay, the parameter which is a string, the type string arrays, that yes, this is for. Okay, so we can say for loop, right?
Yes.
For int I equals 0. Fine, this is the way we were writing in C also, right? And we'll say I less than a dot length, right?
Okay.
We can use that, and I plus plus. So this is a standard way of writing a loop.
Yes.
Okay, we'll see another way. Okay, and system dot out dot println, and here we can say, let's say hello plus a of I. Yeah, this is how you do it. So this plus is a string concatenation. Okay, and joins the 2 string.
Yes.
Okay, and then we are just saying hello to the interface. Okay, let's compile. And let's run the hello interface, and we'll just say okay. Fine. Number of arguments are 3, and here it says hello to each of them. Fine. So it's suppose I want to say hello to James Gosling. Yeah. What will happen? Hello James, hello Gosling? No. I don't like that. You can include double quotes. Yeah. Put it in double quotes. Yeah. Okay. Fine. So fine, we understand the purpose of the parameter. Okay. Fine. So whether you are passing or not, if you are not passing command line arguments, you'll know there are 0 arguments which have been passed. So if there are any arguments which someone is giving while using that command, okay, so that's available to the application. You are starting the application main and giving the arguments to it. Fine, clear about the method main, okay, and the command line arguments. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Jagdish.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Keep on asking questions if you have any difficulties anytime. You can.
Sure. Sure, yeah, sure. Yeah.
And yeah, you can use any language. Like you can even ask in Hindi or Gujarati also. Right?
Okay,
Feel
no
feel
problem.
free. Okay. Fine. So yeah. Now just show that what is the purpose of documentation comment. Okay. Let's complete that task. So we saw two commands. One was javac for compiling, Java for executing the application, okay, from command line. There's another command which is part of the JDK, Java doc. This is to generate a HTML documentation. Okay, currently I'm using it in a particular manner. I'm using -d. -d again similar to this destination which we use in Java C command. So it is \docs. I want a docs folder, okay, where the documentation should be kept. Okay, and I will, but this is one more switch which I am using in this javadoc command currently. I'm not explaining it at this moment, okay, but we'll understand later. I'm saying package -package, and this is required at this moment, okay. And then yeah, let's say start.java, generate the documentation for all the Java files. Okay, fine. Let's see what happens now. Okay, there'll be some warnings, that's fine. Okay, but it has generated some documentation. It has, the second last line shows there is an index.html generated in the docs folder. Okay, there are other files as well, but let's look at this index.html. Okay. Okay, so what we do is we go to this. Yeah. This is the same thing which we had seen yesterday. Okay. Okay, so here it says, yes, we have a module com.classofjava.intro.module. Okay, this module, right? So this has been picked up from the documentation comment. It's giving the description, which is this fine. This description has come from the documentation comment which we have kept in the file. Okay, this is the module info.java file where we defined a module, but before we defined the module, we kept this. This is the documentation comment. So this documentation comment is used as a description for the documentation, for the module. Okay, so this module's description is what is coming here. Yeah. Okay, and then since this module, along with this module, the other files which we have compiled, right? So yeah, so we have one package, and this is the description which comes from the package info.java. You can go into the package. Okay, so what does the so see, package is part of a module. Okay, this module currently has only one package, com.classofjava.intro. Module contains packages. Okay, and look at what does the package contains. Oh, the classes and the interfaces are here. It says all classes and interfaces. Okay, and individually you can just see, oh, I only want to see the interfaces. Okay, here you have only one interface, hello interface.
Package contains interfaces, classes.
Yes,
In backward annotation.
we can go for classes. Okay, here we have only one class. Now you can see for interface there was no description.
Yes.
Whereas for the class, oh, there's a description.
Yes.
And if I click on this, it will show the full description of the class. Okay. This is picked up from the Java doc.
Yes.
Documentation comment. used in our hello.java file. Check this. In hello.java, at the right in the beginning, we have the class definition, and just before the class definition, this is the documentation comment.
Yes.
Okay, this has been picked up. Okay, now if I go into that documentation here, it shows a class contains constructors and other thing, right? So it will have links for the constructors and the methods. So let's see the methods which are available here. Oh, this, it has a method. I only want to see the static methods. Anyway, there's only static method which we have kept. So here's the static method, and there's a method main, and there's a description which is coming here. So you can see this main is being description. The description comes from the comment, the documentation comment which you have kept. You can go to the main. Okay, click on this main here, and takes you to the detailed description. In this description, you can see, right, that it has kept the full description over here. We have used @parameter in our documentation comment. So these are known as tags for the documentation tags basically. Okay, here you can see this. In the method we have used it. Okay, so in the method we said @param. Okay, right, this is what we have kept in the documentation comment. So this is for describing the parameter of the method. So it can separately point out, oh, the parameters are like this. There's a parameter A, and A is an array, right? Okay. Fine. So this comes from here. There was no need of a hyphen from our side here. Anyway, @param puts a hyphen. Okay. Fine. So find clear on these aspects. So comments, find 3 types of comments: single line, block comment, and documentation comment. Okay, and then we can have class definitions. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. So this is more related to the what goes in a Java file.
Okay.
Just to give an overview of what all things can be kept in a Java file. Java file contains class, interface, enum, annotation, record, right?
Module also.
And a separate Java file for one module. Okay, fine. See, for I cannot be keeping fine. So this is one directory, which is src directory, where we have kept the module info.java. In this place, we have kept our class definition also. Okay, fine. So it has used it. Okay. See, even if I didn't have the package info.java, things would have been the same. Only thing I would not have got is the description for the package.
Yeah.
Rest of the things would have been same.